Hey everyone, welcome to Dave's Bonsai. On today's show, the Lilac Monster. Hey everyone, welcome to Dave's Bonsai. In the sense that I have a branch that splits into two shoots in here, so I'm probably going to cut this thing off right about here this fall. I've taken my knob cutter and I've gotten rid of some of that. So I just put them on the bottom, growing upwards into the bag. We fill it up with trees and then we water as we need to. Try to get rid of those air pockets. I put this in a crate last year after taking away some lilacs from the backyard. And it was just sitting back by a fence, these two clumps. And it grew all summer long, got new buds and everything. They do grow like weeds. And so I put them into this crate and thought, hey, I'm gonna mess with this a little bit. Let me show you the only before shot I have before I started drumming all this in the last couple of days. I drumbled some dead, like a hollowed out trunk here, some hollowed out here, and some dead stuff. And even this one right here. This was a nice little, just a little bit of an indent here. So I went back here and I drilled back there. And here we go. Made a hollow log out of that. Poked it through right here. So here we have it. The biggest thing is we have to get it into a pot. So I think this pot will be just big enough. We're gonna see if we can make it work. So we have a lot of digging out to do. So I brought this old cooler, be way overexposed with that sunshine, but I'm gonna tip over the big crate and get rid of all that pumice. So the goal here is obviously to save as much of this pumice and lava rock as possible, because it's only been in here for a year and it's not nearly decomposed at any level. So I'll be able to recycle this lava and pumice for replanting this guy today. Plenty of good soil left for this project. So, kind of humorous, I actually wired this thing down. It probably weighs 5 pounds. No wind was going to blow it over ever in this big of a box. Yeah, I just felt I had to tie it down. So it's time to take it out of the box. So the box, just made out of some leftover lumber as always. Drilled a whole bunch of holes in the bottom. Even put some extra pieces of wood up here so it would sit out here and drain better. I got holes down in here. And yeah, it held it for a year and now I can keep it for some other harvested tree. But now we have to get this guy. And let's dig into these roots. So all the white you're seeing on top is sawdust from all the drummeling I was doing. Now we just have to kind of get down to the bare bones of this guy, see what's left of this tree. I obviously have been attacking it pretty heavily with the Dremel, and I cut a lot of branches off from what it looked like last year. This right here was a branch that was about this high. It was in the way of this big back tree here. So as we get rid of most of the soil, we're going to discover a lot of secondary and shoots that just these lilacs in the backyard. As I've mentioned in other episodes with my smaller trees, my smaller lilacs. These lilacs have an entire forest flow of a root system that just continues to go and go and go. And we have a little brand new shit of weed or something right there. So you'll be able to see all kinds of branches shooting out, roots shooting out different directions. And these all used to sustain this great big cluster of lilac trunks. And I want to get rid of most of the dirt today and get it into almost 100% bonsai soil. And like I said, this thing was sitting in my back area. I can pick up the camera right now and show you. Right back in there. It was just sitting back there. I wasn't planning on doing anything with it. And then I said to myself, as I say often on the Bonsai channel here, you know, hey, this was free. This was free old tree stumps. So it's free of charge. And because these grow so fast, these are great to learn on. So as you can see, when I chopped these all about a foot off the ground, I got all these branches coming in. They just start way down low, and you can cut it down as low as you need to. And these lilacs are going to come back every time. In fact, I've got 2 trees to show you right now. So we're at the west side of my house, and as you can see, I've got a huge crate down here. Had an experiment go wrong last year, but that's all right. Now it's supplying a temporary home for these lilac bushes. So these are all trees that were at this house in the last 20 to 30 years. So these are, I can't even touch my fingers on the other side of this. So we got good 2 to 3 inch girth. This one was split right into 2. And I cut these back at about 5-6 feet tall. They're up in this crate right now, so they're taller. And you can see I just cut them off up there. And that's 1 year growth right there. And they are thicker than pencils in some spot. 1 year of growth. Thick as pencils. Down here, same thing. So we're actually going to put these on the side of our house here to grow some more lilac tree instead of the lilac bush. That's where these came from. So now I'm in the back north side of the house. And you can't see them now because there's no leaves on them. But the whole back fence of my yard is not a fence at all. It's a bunch of lilac trees. And so as you can see here, right behind this little bench of my bonsai, these are all lilacs here. And they were all on the other side of these bonsai trees here in the benches. So where you see benches today was lilac trees 2 years ago. Right in there. And so when those things came out, we put them in the back, kind of like they're looking right here. And then I just, after a summer of them growing outside of dirt, just in the air, I thought, hey, let's put these into bonsai. So let's keep digging. So there's a lot of big roots in here, but there's a lot of those secondary, tertiary roots, those small, fine feeder roots that we want. So it did what it was supposed to do. We'll get more bonsai soil in here and less dirt, and hope for more little roots. So look at all these big roots in here. You can see there's just a lot of thick roots right here. And one of the interesting things about these lilacs too, big one right here. One of the interesting about these lilacs is you'll take a root like this and it'll snap right off quite often, you know? And I've never had these trees like completely die on me. And I'm gonna cut some of these bigger ones off anyway. So they just some of them just die and fall off real easy, which is nice, especially for these bigger ones. So we're gonna keep cleaning it a little bit and get some root pruning done. Beautiful thing about being outside in the springtime now is you can hook up your hose and do something like that. So we have to go in and look at that root structure. Now, if that was above the surface, it'd be kind of cool, but I got to keep some of that below the surface. We're going to cut some of these roots off and clean this thing up. So before I go too crazy here, I got to see if this thing even has potential to fit in my pot that I prepared for us. And it doesn't because of some of the roots on the side here. So we're going to trim this thing up, make it a little bit smaller, and then take a peek. So I'm just doing a general cleanup right now. I'm trying to stray away from the smaller, finer roots, just these thick ones, and most of them that are dead and not doing anything anymore. Like this guy right here. Stops right there, it was cut. I can get that one off as high as possible. And some of these, if I just left alone, I'm sure they would just grow more trees. But I don't want a real spindly forest. I want to show one clump of really old trees that's still hanging in there. Backside looks really cool. Well, there you have it. We got it in there just fine. Should sit in there just great. Be able to fill some soil up there and mound it a little bit. And we've got all this craziness. So a few more root prunes, and then we'll put some soil in this thing. So there's not a whole lot of decision making for this guy. There was one front, that's on the side that I did all the work on, right here and here, and it's carved out here, right there. So this is pretty solid trunk here, so not a lot of sticking to do, except for along the edges. So again, what I've learned from lilacs is there's not a ton of finer roots in a system this big. There's a lot of big roots going out there. But now that I've trimmed them down and there's still fine roots on this structure, I'll keep getting finer and finer roots and keep condensing this a little bit smaller. One day I possibly envision in taking this structure and making this one tree and this making another tree. One of my memories from lilacs growing up is the school I went to. I believe it was the school had lilac trees that were so big, this size thickness and thicker, and so big and tall, and all the flowers were on top, but we as kids would play inside underneath. It was like we had our own little fort. So this is kind of what's led me to want to make this bonsai of this lilac old shrub turn into a big couple of trees, because I can envision some kids in here at least playing in a couple of trees if I had a couple more, and all these branches will grow up and provide some cover. I've got some scratches there, a little bit of damage as I worked, but not too bad. So everything's covered up relatively good. I had no idea what to expect when I bare rooted this thing, but it's looking pretty good. The back's a little messier. We've got trunks that are shooting up now right here and here. This guy is exposed now. This guy is exposed. It wasn't exposed before, down by this great big old structure. But that's fine. I can clean that up later. Again, at this stage, I just performed a repot and created lots of stress in the life of this guy. So now we just have to make sure that it survives. Tuck in some of these roots that want to stick up down, and bring the hose over here and give this a good watering. So there we go. We have it in a pot, one of my biggest plastic pots that I own. And the wonderful part about this is this tree was absolutely free from the backyard. This pot was $5 or $7 or something like that. And this is recycled soil from when I did it last year. So this spring it cost me $10 to make this tree. And we got some growth up here on the left side, some growth on the right side. We'll see what stays alive and succeeds. I just have to find a place in my yard to put it. It's a big pot. We'll do that next. Hey, thanks for joining me today for today's bonsai. I'm Dave Weiss. I hope everybody's staying super safe and keeping yourself busy with your bonsai. And remember, this is one of those projects that I love to do because it totally shows that you don't need a lot of money to do bonsai. You don't need expensive material necessarily, although that would be nice someday to work on. Experiment on the cheap stuff. Experiment on the free stuff. This is a fast-growing tree, and so I can do all kinds of stuff to it. I cut it up. I make cuts I probably wouldn't do on other trees to try to learn and then see what's going to happen. It responds really well, so it's a good teaching tree. So find something cheap and easy, and don't be afraid to make some cuts and work on your bonsai. This is as much an art form as anything else, and beauty in the eye of the beholder, right? So you do what you like to do. I had a great time working on this one. This has been a long one in process. I started drumming a couple days ago, just off and on work, and I'm glad to get out of that box and get it into what resembles a bonsai pot. All right, take care, everybody, and we'll see you on the next one.
welcome to Dave's Bonsai.
In the sense that I have a branch that splits into two shoots in here, so I'm probably going to cut this thing off right about here this fall. I've taken my knob cutter and I've gotten rid of some of that. So I just put them on the bottom, growing upwards into the bag.
We fill up with trees and then we water as we need to.
Try to get rid of those air pockets.